Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, TheBee at LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. Our pollen is silver and our nectar is gold, preserving our wealth as honey of old, and like ancient metals, we hold our own. Today we're going to be talking with Ian Everard of ARK S.G.O Osmium. Let's bring him in. Ian, welcome in.
Hi, thank you.
How are we doing today?
I think I'm okay. I think it's just everybody else.
Okay. Yeah. Well, lots going on. I appreciate my time I had down there with you at the shop. That was fun and had a nice time. So appreciate you dealing with me and taking the time for me.
You're welcome. Thank you for making it this far north.
Yeah, it was a wonderful trip. So it was good for me. Chew, welcome in. Good to see you. So have a lot on the mind, questions to ask for you here, and I'm gonna start off with my title for this stream, which is Brood of Vipers or Gaggle of Orange Grifters. And with a weaker dollar. And so, yeah, just for me, where we're at, what I've been looking at, and so many things happening. But, for me, I go back to feeling like we're still having our feet kicked out from under us, our legs kicked out from under us here in the U.S. And, whether you take it back, for me, a few presidencies, all the way back to, George Bush and we have weapons of, or, are there weapons of mass destruction? Yep. He looks under his microphone desk and laughs and says, "Oh, there's none under here." With that type of a character and attitude about our country and how we should handle war and just being funny that we're going to war with another country for a made up story, basically.
Well, it wasn't really going to war, was it? It was one-sided obliteration, wasn't it?
You
outgunned 100 to 1 or more.
Right.
From what I can't say I could quote the source, but hundreds of thousands of Iraqi children were killed in the so-called search for weapons of mass destruction. It's like, were they hiding them with their toys, if they had any toys? It's always an excuse, isn't there, to go blow somebody up?
Yeah, it seems to be. And so for me, I watch, things swing back and forth from the left to the right, and so much talk about it that you'd think that that's where things hinge. But I find that we've been kind of on the same track for a long time. And I heard you reference something in my title earlier, and whether you think it's just these last few presidencies, or whether you're like me and you think it's been a slow, steady thing, we seem to be losing our strength in the dollar, which is what has kept us a strong power for these last, ever since we went off the gold standard anyway. We've been on that and managed to back it up by oil maybe for a while, but that seems to be falling apart, and we're just we've gone crazy over the edge there, it seems to me like. What are you seeing there, though?
It's been a violent swing over decades, hasn't it? Going from the world's manufacturer after the Second World War, so the 50s, 60s, we were the manufacturer, which, as the rest of the world caught up, Europe rebuilt, Japan became, rose in excellence in automobiles, electronics, shipbuilding shifted, didn't it, from the UK to the US to Japan, and then South Korea rose up. So there's continually shifting sands and who's excelling and who becomes dominant in manufacturing. And it would seem that if governments really understood the importance and the quality jobs that can bring, they would be a bit more reluctant just to let it slip away. But I think because it's always over such a long time scale, they are just not interested. There's nothing in it for them now. And it seems to be, it's not just the leaders, the population, the bulk of the population want that instant satisfaction. I got a young guy, he's a helicopter pilot, local helicopter pilot, and he talks about his friends who come out the army, and they come out in the army with 0 life skills.
Yeah.
And if they've got $100 in their pocket, they'll buy a $20 McDonald's and a $60 video game. And they've got $20 left. Yeah. And they wonder why they're not going anywhere. It's because people want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Until you break out of that, you are going to be enticed and trapped. There's always going to be something to lure you to spend everything you've got right now. So the fall in the value of the dollar against the basket of currencies, I think it's the yen, the euro, the Japanese yen, isn't it? Yeah, the euro, the British pound, I think those are the predominant, and the Swiss franc. I think those are the predominant currencies. So it has been lower than it has been now, but it has been a lot higher. But part of it, I mean, leaving aside the bunch of orange grifters that are trying to destroy our country, it's a natural end of an empire.
Yes.
You can definitely accelerate it, and you can definitely not prepare for it, and we haven't prepared for it. If we prepared for it, it wouldn't be as much of a drama, and it wouldn't have such a catastrophic effect on a lot of people's lives. And that should be the role of government, mitigating and helping to ease the bee's big transitions, not accelerating them.
Right.
And the idea that these mega data centers are going to make life better for everybody is I'm not going to swear because my wife might be watching, or she might watch this, but it's complete camel poo, isn't it?
Yeah.
The idea that Zuckerberg is going to share all of his gains if he manages to win the AI race and get the fastest computer, and they're talking of building these data centers over hundreds of acres of land using terawatts of electricity. And already, was it the Grok? They're using dozens of gas-fired portable power stations.
I heard that.
And they're poisoning the environment with noxious emissions, formaldehyde and all sorts of, let alone the noise. And it is not for the benefit. I got into a little argument with the FedEx guy yesterday, and he was complaining about this little handheld thing where and all the things were going wrong and I couldn't sign. And he said it's a blessing and a curse. I said, well, show me the blessing. And he goes, oh, we would have had to carry around a book before. I go, yeah, what was wrong with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could sound like a Luddite, and most people might not understand that. Luddites were a group who saw the rapid change industrialization was doing in England, and they campaigned against it, and they went around smashing up some of the new modern looms that were destroying the cottage industry of weaving. But it is sad. We're in a huge state of change, and it's the rate of that state of change. And I'm not trying to rhyme. It's the rate of that state of change catches most people out. A lot of people will adapt if they have a reasonable amount of time. So drifting off a little bit maybe, but the dollar falling, well, that's inevitable because it will lose its role as a reserve. It is losing its role as a reserve. And as it loses its role as a reserve, it loses its utility. And as it loses its utility, it loses its value against other currencies and particularly commodities.
Yeah.
Which is great for us stackers who realize this one way or the other and have been steadily, as we can, exiting the system.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, and I find interesting what you said about the natural fall of the empire, and
Yeah.
kind of going back to that. Like you're saying, you see all the corruption that gets involved, and you read about through Roman times and how that great empire started crumbling, and the corruption that crept in. And you would think the government now, after having that much of a history on this, would be letting the population know what we're going through, and that we're our empire, our money system is coming to an end, and we need to stack metals now. And luckily, I guess we do have some states. I hear that Missouri just came in and is now looking at accepting gold and silver as a payment.
And Utah's not far behind, is it? I think the Utah senators are going to outvote their governor, who vetoed similar legislation in Utah. So,
yeah, let's hope. And so you see the states kind of waking up a bit, but it's not because the Fed or the government right now is letting the people know or acting. For me, that's what's frustrating. Is, to me, they seem to be trying to hide it. And they're playing games as to keep people distracted on certain things. When there's
I mean, the argument that if the Federal Reserve drops interest rates will drop. It's been proven time and time again. The Federal Reserve follows what the market's dictating interest rates are. Hence, the 30-year has just broken 5%. So the 30-year is rising.
Well, so right.
If the Federal Reserve cut to 3%, you'd probably find the market will say, actually, we want 7% to borrow, because you're cutting it when you shouldn't be cutting it, and you're going to cause huge inflation. If you're going to cause huge inflation, who wants to hold paper where the principal is going to rot? We want a high price to do that. So
that's it. They're hiding it again right there. And it's like every corner you look around, they're hiding something or being deceptive about something. Since we're kind of on that, I wanted to mention the real ID. And I've been kind of touching on that here or there, that this is going to be a thing, but I wasn't understanding lots of things about it. And then I just found out just recently that the real ID, I have a real ID. When I look on my driver's license, which is no longer a driver's license, it's now a real ID.
It doesn't say driver's license?
That's the difference, is you can get a state driver's license. And see, I didn't understand this when I went to get my new driver's license. I just was reading the list, and it probably said something like, state driver's license or something. And then the next one below was real ID. And so I probably thought, well, I don't know. I want the real one, I don't know what this other one specialized is. I just need the real ID. So that's what without thinking about it.
Yeah.
But that's the difference, is you're getting a federal ID as opposed to getting what we're supposed to get for a driver's license, state driver's license.
Right.
And they're saying there for a while that, you can't fly unless you have this new real ID.
Which has to be a passport or a new form of real ID, non-passport.
Yeah, right. It turns out that you can use your driver's license. You don't have, if you're just in the States, then
you don't need a real ID driver's license.
Right. You just need a driver's license.
It's a federal license. And if it's federally issued, it can be federally withdrawn without your state even knowing about it.
Yes. See, and all this is being done through tricky words. Don't you want a real ID?
Yeah.
I didn't realize what I was doing. And there's it's just deception. It's through tricky words. So that's what's really frustrating to me. And so, hence my title, I guess.
And you can't go and get an ordinary state driver's license now, because they'll say you've got one. You can't get.
Actually, well, I got to look more into that. But they said you can. They said there's a lady who's pointing this out. and she says you can just exchange your real ID for a state driver's license.
Might not be a bad plan.
Exactly. We'll see what that's doing is it's putting you on the Fed's
Oh my gosh.
radar.
This is just sort of like make the dots are joining up, because Palantir are doing all the back office data processing for the US government now.
Well, there you go.
You had what Doge was, part of what Doge was collecting all the data so they could interlink all of the agencies. So anybody can, for good or bad or even worse reasons, can instantly find about everything about you, but every interaction you have ever had with any government body, federal or state, instantaneously in one place. And that violates the Fourth Amendment, doesn't it? The Fourth Amendment, the right to be asked to produce papers without due cause.
Right.
But basically, they have our paper because they're all electronically stored now, and they can access them with, completely against the Constitution.
Yes. Yes. And, they're just going to roll that into a form like right now. Let's get on stable coin.
Right. Well, that's a joke, isn't it? I mean, so basically a entity or a group of people or a wealthy individual decides to sell shares in that are only ever going to be worth what you bought them for, not accounting devaluation, not accounting depreciation, and then they buy or invest in whatever they feel like, hoping they can make a profit on it. What's that? Why is that a benefit to the end user?
Right. Yeah. That's what I don't get the stable coins. All I see that doing is giving them digital control. Like if you choose to get in that, then now you're being a bit more controlled through the digital dollar. But
if it's linked to the dollar, so USDT is always supposed to be very close to $1. Well, it's not stable, is it? That's a lie.
No, exactly.
It's losing purchasing power. So
yeah,
it's stable. It is. Yeah, it's bizarre.
And so that's what I see them trying to do is kind of trying to roll us in sneakily and lock us into this, real ID that they'll turn into, oh, here's your, they may not call it CBDC, but that's what it is, and
yeah.
And that's how you get in, they're going to try to regulate more and more. And the thing is, there was laws in place that would keep the Fed from coming in, and there was even regulators that were supposed to catch this type of thing, where the Fed would come in and implement this type of ID through by that means, and it looks like they were getting paid off. And so this is not, so it's through deception again. It's through using that money printer that's destroying to buy off their deception, so that to hide it from us. And seeing this, it makes you quite nerve-wracked for the average citizen who doesn't have a clue that any of this stuff is going on.
It's potentially a feeding frenzy for the banking parasites, isn't it? To have complete knowledge and complete control of everything you do, have done, and are intending to do.
Right. That's the scariest part.
Because the AI will predict what your next purchase will be pretty accurately, probably. And then they can temper that, whether you're allowed to do that or how much of that, before you've even thought yourself of doing it, because the AI will know. Yeah.
Right.
Every Sunday night, Ian is scouring the wholesale deals to see what's on.
Right. Yep.
No, he's bought too much. You can't buy anymore.
Yeah. Right.
So yes, we are definitely entering into, and of course it's going to happen, because the people with this level of power they have already, it's insatiable. They need more power. There's never enough, and it does. I think it even goes beyond money. I think the idea of being able to keep people in a state of servitude really appeals to some of his people.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I just wanted to point out that when we're buying back our bonds and treasuries, and that proves kind of that we're on borrowed time. Basically, I mean, we already know it's ending, but when you have those failed auctions with them coming in and having to buy that themselves,
Right.
that's you're on borrowed time right there. I mean, that's a huge sign, right? Like
It's just ratios, because whether it's direct monetization of excess spending or if it's indirect, the consequences are the same.
yeah,
It's just a little bit more transparent if we're just literally, do you know what? Oh, what the heck? We'll just type the extra dollars into. We won't even go through the pretense that somebody is lending them to us.
right.
And when we're at 125, 130%, historically, that's the point of no return, where only 2 countries have managed to pull back from that level. And one was Japan, and it looks like it could unwind very rapidly for Japan. Their historic 0 interest rates are now, I think, 2.5% and rising. So with their I think it's 250% debt to GDP, that it looks like it could unwind very rapidly, Japan, and ironically, they'll probably then use the dollar or something if the yen fails.
Yeah, okay. And so, yeah, and I think, since I kind of see it as a bigger picture play, or above what we see them showing us as being where the strings are being pulled, I believe it's being pulled up above that. And so, and the people, it's the population that's under attack.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
one.
it's not so much a direct attack, is it? It's an increase in the rate that the parasite is sucking the blood out of us.
Well, I mean, you could say that if they weren't trying to hide it from me and being deceptive at every turn. And that shows me that they're deliberately doing that.
But generally, it's a slow, but an ever increasing extraction of people's effort, isn't it? To control, steal. I was going to say, take steal ownership of everything somebody has produced throughout their life.
Yeah. And I think it's getting bad over here.
So where's the good news? We've got to have some good
news.
Well,
Well, there's some good news coming. I did want to touch on, though, the Shanghai just seems to be getting more and more leading the way and powerful, and they have a steady bid above us.
Yep.
So
which would suggest commodities are moving east.
And the commodities are the new money, in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, James Rickards wrote a book called Currency Wars, predicting that it won't be kinetic wars, it'll be currency wars. But I think it might. Well, I think it is. In fact, I observe that it is happening. We are having commodity wars.
Yes.
And I think that, again, by observation, China has been playing the long game.
Yep.
Preparing over decades for what is happening now. One metal, as you know, that I've been learning as much as I can about is rhenium, and it does look like China is cornering the market.
Okay, really interesting.
And without rhenium, you can't build pretty well most jet engines, satellites, space travel, oil refineries, a lot of high-end electronics. Got to have it.
Interesting.
Traditionally, the US uses 75% of the whole world's rhenium supply, but we only produce 30% of it. So I'm not quite sure what the trade wars are with Chile at the moment, but if we upset Chile too much, they produce nearly half of the world's rhenium. They could well say, do you know what, we'll just sell it to China instead. And that would mean that all our military industrial complex would grind to a halt.
Yeah, well,
which probably would mean they'd start a war to invade Chile to seize the uranium production. Or
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And there, I heard someone else, in fact, I believe he's in the chat. Space Miner was talking about he's been picking up some other metals and odds and ends that I haven't heard of. And he thought he'd put in an order, but it came back they had to cancel it because they'd have to get it through China, and it was a hard order, so they just canceled it on him. And I've been hearing previously that China was going around and buying doré directly from the mines.
That's been going on for several years at least.
That's what I've been hearing. And so, for me, all these things add up. And even Russia stockpiling, they were saying not only gold, but they were saying silver as well.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it just keeps adding up and building and improving ourselves out here. But yeah, let's talk about things that are doing well, which are the metals. The metals are doing really well here of late. I mean, I think we've got a long ways to go because of what we're just discussing, but silver is at 38 probably right now. Last I checked, it was at 38.
37.97 on the 5-second update.
All right. So, yeah, holding right in there at 38.
But that's on sale. That's subsidized. It's subsidized because the dollar still has a perception of more value than it actually has.
For sure.
It is an illusion.
For sure, in my opinion, yes.
It's working. I mean, I don't mind being paid in dollars, but I turn them into metal very quickly.
Right. I agree. And so silver's been doing well. Platinum's been doing well. You just mentioned rhenium. I know you've been picking that up lately as well. So you have anything more you want to say on rhenium?
Yeah, it's getting a tighter supply. The companies in the US that have some are getting more reluctant to sell it because I think they're waking up. It's going to, if they sell it in a month's time, it'll be worth $200-300 more. So the companies that can hang on are holding their inventory levels level. Whereas normally, if they had a buyer, they would sell, knowing they could go into the market and replace. Now it's not so easy for them to replace, so they're more reluctant to sell. So it's becoming a seller's market. The sellers are actually becoming genuine market makers. Especially, there's a couple of companies that actually don't need to sell what rhenium they do have because it's only part of their business. Because the whole 50 tons at the current price is about $150 million a year. So it is a tiny, tiny, tiny market.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, and you have some available?
We do, but it's getting more and more complicated putting orders together. It's not too bad doing an order of 10 or 20 or 100 kilos. But if somebody wants 1 kilo, I've got to work out which allocation it's coming from. So, yes, at the moment it's available.
Okay. And copper's been going up lately as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned a few weeks, maybe a month or so ago, about Brian Ziming, a Chinese businessman who's very closely connected to the Chinese Communist Party. He was reportedly 90,000 tons of copper long. That was one speculation that was transparent and known about. So if you add the power of the CCP, I think they're driving the copper price up because traditionally in this stage of an economic cycle, copper would be falling. It anticipates economic slowdown. But it's not. It's what $5.50, I think, a pound now. Yeah.
So I want to touch on that, the economic downfall, and so many people who think we're on a level playing field will point out, well, we might go into a recession, so silver might fall. I've been
Yeah.
hearing that so much, but I think with the depreciation of the dollar, they're not taking that into account. Therefore, there's still so much room there. I
No,
mean,
this can go south very, very quickly.
yeah,
And it does, contrary to what I expected and predicted. I didn't think BRICS would ever come to anything. I thought that, the traditional hostilities between China and Russia and China and India and Pakistan and the traditional hostilities would have prevented any coordination. I was wrong. It really looks like they are going, and they're going to use gold as a settlement. So they're going to trade, barter, and then any settle a difference in gold.
That's what
there'll be relatively small amounts of gold changing hands because it'll be the net difference in what the trade was.
Into the year or something like that, probably.
Yeah, it could be quarterly, monthly, or whatever.
It
could be instant. It could be even deal by deal. So that looks like that's putting a floor under gold at 3,300 with 3,345 live. So, yeah, interesting, isn't it? Really.
I think, and that's why I was looking at it as a possibility, because if our dollar goes underwater, as I see it, when it goes beneath gold, that's just kind of how I picture it. Like you say, there's so little value. It's just what the population is giving it value right now. But that's dropping fast. You go get groceries, it's getting ridiculous. And
no, don't forget the orange guy who said day one inflation ceases.
Right.
Gasoline. Gasoline. Did you know gas is $1.95 a gallon? Have you not noticed?
No, I have not noticed.
You not noticed? No, it's definitely. It says $3.45 on the garage gas station forecourt, but actually, when you pay, it only charges you $1.95 now.
Right. Yeah. So that leaves, when it becomes a level playing field, we just moved into a commodity. I don't know what you call it. Commodity
hypercycle. I don't think it's a super. Yeah. It's because it's reclaiming the value it always had, but was never appointed. But because of the over financialization and the hypothecation, everything commodity-wise looked like there was plenty of it. It was almost endless.
Right.
And it was driven down to its raw minimum cost of production.
Yes.
Which suppressed investment in future production. So when this all hits, it won't just be gold and silver and rhenium. It'll be copper. It'll be nickel. It'll be everything that has had a artificially low price attached to it.
I think so, and let alone that our system has been whittled down to be so finite, and you combine a field with a huge swath, and so it just becomes very large, corporatized, and all of our just-in-time delivery, like, it's made us very, very brittle, and like you say, it's brought everything down to its very low price. And I think, sadly, that this might just rocket back the other way. Like, that's what I'm seeing as a possibility. I don't know if it'll be a slow rise, or I'm worried that it's going to come into reality and shock up, kind of, but yeah,
no, I think you're right on that. I mean, Mike Maloney's started predicting $10 jumps in silver. Wow. And I remember about 6 months ago, you were talking about, maybe 9 months ago, dollar moves.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of those, haven't we?
Yep. Lots of those. And not long ago, I was saying $5, but yeah, wow, $10. Yeah. That's, I mean, I can see that definitely coming. Yeah. We've already had the $3 move in a day. And, yeah, it's going to be coming on, I think. And then we have Israel. That's more bad news. Another, they hit.
They won the Damascus palace, didn't they? Their central
Is that what it was? Yeah, I just seen they bombed Syria. I didn't see the details, but
it was a presidential palace in Damascus. Yeah.
so there's that. Oh, you mentioned about the bullion vault in the UK. You want to talk a little about that story?
Yeah, I haven't found any corroborating evidence, but there was a British guy, and he was saying he's seen people's accounts where they were told their account was hacked, and then their positions were sold, and they were physical position, the physical holding was sold, and they were paid out in pounds. Now, I've not seen any more corroborating evidence on that. I did a quick bit of research, and it seems like bullion vault is huge. I think 5 billion. I think there were about 5 billion of metals in storage in Singapore and all around the world. And it's supposed to offer a low-cost way of buying physical, but not taking possession.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a terrifying.
Even if that proves that maybe the few people were hacked, what would a government not do in an emergency where they have to have silver? What would they not do? They'll do anything. There's no limits, is there?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, heck, if it gets really bad, I will have to clear the store out and do some midnight gardening or have a boating accident because they'll come for my stock.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely see nationalizing mines as a possibility anyway. What do you think there?
Oh, taking ownership. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Right.
Can you imagine our current government running a mine?
Right.
Really? You know, Hegseth would be going, do it this way, do it this way.
Yeah.
But
sad.
Potentially, I mean, we have the risk, don't we? I mean, again, I've been saying for maybe a year or more, why does Mexico export silver?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of.
You do that.
Yeah.
You know, you produce 25% of the world's silver. Keep it.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think that's going to be if my understanding is right, and the commodities are just going to keep going up because our fiat's already there's nothing. It's just perception. Then, you know, exactly. Why would you get rid of your? I think, like you say, everything's been brought down to its very lowest point, and people think that they're trusting their governments is the problem. They think that this is just true, real price, and I have a feeling this stuff, when it starts going the other way hard, you're going to have to nationalize your mine. It's your only hope. I mean, it's reality. Reality will come back into play, I think, is what's happening.
Yeah.
For those of us who are stackers and we're preparing for some of this, it's okay. But for people who think that reality is as it is just this is it, you know, man, oh man, I can't imagine starting to, you know, with some of these things start playing out. That's going to be quite a thing. So yeah. So what else did I have here? So yeah, Missouri, I hear, is the 8th state to accept gold and silver as legal tender. And
that's on a voluntary basis, isn't it?
Yes. But I mean, it's acknowledgement. I think that's great. You know, 8 states more have taken tax away. I'm quite impressed, really.
And Washington and Maryland have added it, I think.
Okay.
I think I'm correct. I heard that Maryland had added sales tax.
Oh, yeah, there was two. Yeah, I know there was one outlier that added it. Yeah, which is ridiculous. But so what are your thoughts there? Like, I mean, that could get interesting if some states take on the gold and silver and some don't. I mean, that's going to force people to move and, you know, possibly. I mean, I'm considering it.
So on the big picture, I don't see, and nobody has shown me a route from this over-hypothecated fiat expansionary system to a sound system for a nation. Now, there's a route for individuals and there's a route for groups of individuals. So would there be a route for a state to just say, do you know what? We're not using the dollar anymore. We're going back to the Constitution, and only gold and silver coin will be allowed as settlement for debts, payment, transactional current money. So it wouldn't be that expensive to do, even to go for a state to go to a physical. The problem would be keeping it in that state, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you're also, you can trade it. The thing is, like in my mind, I see that as a possibility, and the us and the nations who are using it and the states that are using it, our value is gonna go up. We're gonna do fine, but those that are staying in the dollar are gonna continue to fall.
Yeah.
And so for those that remain in the good system, I see it as being okay. I do worry about the overreaching, like the Fed trying to come up with the real ID to get the people on to their foundation without the states having an ability to do anything, kind of secretly under the table, like with the real ID. Seems really fishy to me there.
Although, wasn't there some governor somewhere ended up with a whole load of gold that you couldn't explain?
Yeah. Yep.
So it doesn't stop, but it does bring an honesty to everyday transactions. And now with modern electronics testing equipment, if you can't do the ping test or you don't want to rely on the ping test, it's a lot cheaper and a lot more widely available to accurately prove that your gold and silver is coin, i.e. of a certain purity.
Yep.
And, it's a lot cheaper to weigh things. Well, it's always been easy to weigh things, I guess, but I'm still not sure how much of a route there is, because to get from the fiat system to a sound money system, you have to admit the false lie of all the future promises are going away. So how do you do that en masse when the bulk of the population is relying on this system to carry on for the rest of their lives?
Well, yeah, I see a mass separation there. I think we'll go digital, so I think there's going to be that huge wave, and I think they'll even try to lock us into it. That's why I'm so happy to see these 8 states saying they'll take gold and silver. Now, I expect...
Could that be overruled?
That's what I expect.
Is the private ICE army, they could be used for anything. They don't just have to be used for chasing down undocumented people.
Yeah.
It could be used for anything that the president says, I think.
Yeah, that's it. And
could you end up with a war between states that don't want the funny money and so, do you know what, we're moving towards gold, silver, and copper as money? Would they be allowed to do that?
That's it. I think they'll definitely try to stop it.
And now with the rise of the data centers and AI and computer, the quantum, supercomputers, they don't want localized control. They want control of the whole world, basically.
Yes. I'm aware of that, but I do see that they're having trouble implementing everything they want to implement. And so they don't have as much control, and it might be harder to get than we think.
Now I heard, I don't even know what context it was. I heard that about 80% of the population will just do what they're told.
Yeah.
And 20% won't. Now, obviously, we're in that 20% because we're told to trust the system. Yes, explicitly, almost, really. If you take the Dave Ramsey approach, you don't go near precious metals. If you take Warren Buffett's advice. Gold is a relic. Why would you dig it up and bury it again? It's got no use. It's got no income. But most people can't up sticks and move, can they, to somewhere sensible? It's, I was going to say by accident, but it's by birth, career, marriage, divorce, where people end up, isn't it?
Yeah, mostly. And until
most people aren't thinking, "Ooh, I like the idea of sound money. I'm going to move to Utah," or
right. No. But here's the thing, though, is that 80%. The harder it gets for them to afford groceries.
Yeah.
And then they hear about, there's 8 other states that are now using gold and silver.
Right.
What does that mean? And why are they not? Their grocery prices aren't going up. What's this rumor? Those numbers at some point are going to start to balance out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if Idaho had put all of its state reserves into, there was a vote early last year, I think it was April last year, and they voted unanimously to allow the state treasurer to put some of the reserves into gold. And the governor vetoed it.
Yeah.
So if they'd done that and they'd put 20 or 30% there, they probably could have paid off the whole state's debt.
Yeah. See, those types of numbers and rumors are going to start waking some people up. That's exactly when you see gold. It's an old relic, but it's worth $3,000 an ounce now, and it was 20.
Yeah. Well, 35 effectively, wasn't it? 34 through to 70. Yeah.
When they shut it down. Yeah. So
I don't know. I'd like to think there could be some idyllic solution, but I just don't think that's on the cards.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the thing. But for us that have the awareness to see it, we need to do what we can, in my opinion. Just to do what we can the best ourselves. And I've been surprised. There's many things that I thought wouldn't be possible, and yet they turned out that they were possible.
Yeah.
And so, that gives me a little bit of hope to keep going, keep pushing at it. And
so we'll have to pick a state where we put all of the bankers so they can feed off each other.
Right. That would be nice. Yeah.
Oh gosh. How did it come to this?
Yeah, and that's what there was this. Let's read that quote by Josiah Stamp. Banking was conceived in iniquity and was born in sin. The bankers own the earth. Take it away from them, but leave them the power to create deposits. And with the flick of a pen, they will create enough deposits to buy it back again. However, take it away from them, and all the great fortunes like mine will disappear, and they ought to disappear, for this would be a happier and better world to live in. But if you wish to remain the slaves of the bankers and pay the cost of your own slavery, let them continue to create deposits. Boy, that's a line right there at the end.
Yeah.
Pay the cost of your own
slavery.
And indeed, that is what is happening.
Yeah, the outworkings of that is somebody can work all their life and have no savings.
Yep.
Now, some of that's bad choices sometimes, but it's stacked against the average person, isn't it, to ever escape the trap. And I wasn't thinking of precious metals, but I sort of knew early on, if I can't have more than one house, I'm screwed. I'm never going to get any pension I get is just a lie. It can't provide what they were promising. So I worked my butt off, and I managed eventually to get an investment property.
Yep.
And but not everybody can do that because there's not enough houses to go around. And some people say, oh, well, you're a mean landlord, you're taking up property, you know. But to me, growing up in construction, that's what I understood.
Yeah.
I understood holes in the ground, and concrete and bricks and timber, and plaster and glass and wiring and plumbing, and know what it takes to build a house and how much it costs. And if you can buy one that's already built for less than it costs to build it,
right,
and you've got a high chance of renting it, that's the way to go, because it will store, even if it doesn't go up, it will store value.
You need a place to live.
You have to have a place to live, so you can't ever really eat that. Or people do. I mean, some people. I mean, we got some. My wife has some dear friends in Denver, and her husband became ill, so they were just about to sign over their house so they could move into like an assisted care sort of village sort of thing. But they would sign over the whole of their house to be able to live in this facility. I mean, it didn't happen. Unfortunately, her husband died, so they didn't actually sign off the deal. But if they had signed off the deal, when they'd moved in, when he died, they would have lost their house.
Wow.
So they would have eaten the house, you know, so you can't eat your own house. And that's a cruel factor. A lot of young people now, they can't perceive they could ever own their own home.
Yeah, that's,
you know, and again, a lot of people were saying, oh no, renting is so much better. Overall, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like there's times and there's usefulness to it. I mean, when I lived in England, we actually rented where we lived so we could carry on owning the properties that we rented. I know that sounds crazy, but it made sense.
Sure. No, I see.
But I don't know. And there was a guy came in the store last year, and he was trying to legitimately tokenize real estate so people could buy a fraction of a property and get their foot on the ladder. But he hit so many walls of opposition because that upset somebody. And, you know,
sure.
But that was I thought, a brilliant idea. I mean, kids, young people are throwing away thousands of dollars on meme coins.
Yeah.
Thinking only just one of them has to go 1,000 times, 100,000 times. And that's my, you know, and it won't. Like,
I know.
Yeah. Or maybe 1 in a million people, it will work. Yeah. So really, I think society becomes more and more unstable and unsustainable when people have less and less stake in it.
Yeah.
You know, at what point you've either got to go to the point where somebody is so scared to step out of line and complain about their lot that they would lose everything, so they don't. And are we there yet? I don't. I mean, I was reading about the laws in Wyoming, and the mine companies used to use that, so they would only employ married men from all across Europe, so they'd have different languages, so they couldn't communicate and unionize. And they definitely want them with families, so they'd be in the company house. So if they stepped out of line in Wyoming, you're instantly homeless. That was the law. There was no, you know, lose your job, your home's gone. Yeah, so that was a sort of form of slavery, and I think we're getting close for a lot of people like that. They're too scared to do anything different for fear of losing the little they have got.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably where we're at, and yeah. So yeah, that's about all I got.
I mean, that was written by a banker. I don't know if you looked up the date. I think it was like 1700s or something.
I've heard that before, and I know it's very old.
So it's nothing new. And JP Morgan, I think it was JP Morgan, said, "Give me the ability to create the currency. I care not who makes the laws." They're saying the same thing, isn't it? Whoever creates it is above the law.
Yep.
And in effect, above the Constitution, aren't they? Really, the bankers.
Yep. Yeah, it's happening, and no one is shouting about it. So they're secretly trying to slip us all into this digital slavery, which is
it's distraction. Blame the situation on other people. Your lack of success, it wasn't your fault. It has nothing to it's nothing to do with you. It's because this person over here was doing this. Look sideways, don't look up.
Yeah.
It's like so it's always distraction. Get people on different teams that are always fighting each other.
Yep. Exactly.
So it'd be interesting to actually have a genuine discussion locally. I don't know how many people you would get who would seriously. I mean, we've got a reasonable local community, but it's probably only a handful of people out of tens of thousands.
Yeah. Well, if it continues slow and steady, that gives us more time, and so we'll keep plugging away at it, and maybe some more of these states coming online, and the grocery store prices getting higher and higher. There's things about the mask that they're it's slipping it on occasion, I see. So hopefully maybe more people come around and something good. The more that it gets pushed back, the better it is. Even if it doesn't get pushed back all the way, the more it is pushed back, the better off it'll be.
Well, if you mean, do you mean delaying the inevitable collapse, or do you mean?
Well, I mean, as far as them being able to clamp down on us in digital slavery. And the more we just walk into and accept, and digitalized scans, and real IDs, and all that, we're just not realizing that, look, there, actually our states and our forefathers fought very hard for there to be a law for that not to be able to happen. And
it was fundamentally, they didn't want to repeat the feudal system they'd escaped from, where it was impossible for the average person to own anything.
Right. And to me, that's true patriotism, is fighting for the rights and the goods and the truths but whereas now a lot of people are just, I was born in the USA, so that's patriot. You just say USA and that's all that matters. And it's like, well,
there's something wrong. Yeah. So, I don't know. Does the Constitution say anything about looking after your neighbor? I don't think it does it? They sort of missed that one.
Right.
That would have been good if that was Article 1, Section 1.
Right.
Look after your neighbor.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, though, silver is on the rise. My goodness, we're almost at $40. In fact, I am at $40 on my rounds now. So that's something to see. A lot of people talked about that. Are we going to ever make it to 40? Well, we're not. We're there now. I mean, we're borderline there right now. So
I mean, was it last Monday? Was it Wednesday today?
It was 39 a few days ago.
Monday, 39.25. Yeah.
Yep.
Monday. So, I was 4 years too early. I predicted $40 at the end of 2021. What did I know?
Yeah.
Well, it made sense at the time. It's like,
we'll see, that time for me was good for me. So
and you think we've had since 2021 4 more years of deficit of consuming and needing more silver than it's produced. So the pressure is there. My hunch is we'll hold around where we are, and then we'll jump another $1 or $2. My concern is, a few people have asked me, are you excited about silver going up? And no.
Yeah, exactly.
I am not excited, because at some point, I don't know whether it's 40 or 50 or 60, whatever, if the system hasn't collapsed and gone fully digital, it will trigger that. So the very thing we want is fair valuation of silver,
right? But
at the same time of the bringing in of the CBDC, because that will be the only solution to keep the complex system we have working.
Yeah.
Or
go ahead on your or, because I want to point something out about that.
We all turn off our computers and turn off our internet, turn off our phones, and say that's it. We're going back pre-email,
Yeah.
It's like,
well, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do see the possibility of, them just continuing their story and people being so cognitively dead that even though the price of silver and gold and the commodities just go up, people just are, they'll blame it on the war, they'll blame it on
China.
China,
China will be playing a big part, because they've debased their currency even to a great extent than we have. So they know. I'm sure they know the consequences.
Yeah, I think that but like you say, the problem I see with it is if silver jumps up to $60, $70, $100, people won't want to buy it, and it's you've done the separation now. You're already too high in gold, and now they're too scared of silver.
Yeah,
and you've cut that umbilical there, and only those that are in, and
yeah. I mean, the least worst outcome if it just steadily rose from here.
I'm not. So I keep
that would be the least worst.
That's what I was meaning earlier. Yeah, is that
now what I'm actually basically said there, isn't it? This is bad. What is coming? Now, is it going to get caused by the precious metals rising and commodities rising? Indirectly or directly, potentially yes.
Yes.
Because it reveals the flaws, the lie of the system. So if a few percent try and escape the system, that's the end of the system.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll just keep at it and see what happens. All we can do is do what we can, and that's what we're doing. So, all right. Well, thanks, Ian, for coming on. I'm sure you've got lots of good deals. Everybody go visit Ian to get your silver before it goes over 40, because
give me a call and be nice. We have some outrageous deals.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Now's the time, even though it seems high. I think a lot of people will think, a lot of people still think we're on an even playing field, and silver is way high. Sell all your silver because it's going to drop down, just like the last peak.
I have got a list of appointments of people coming in tomorrow doing that.
Wow, it's just the biggest mistake. I wish people understood.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, if you really need it, I mean, a guy came in yesterday and he got a deal buying an old school bus that is part converted, and he's going to live in it. Well, that's you've got to live somewhere. That's a good use.
Yep.
But to sell it because you think you're cashing out on a peak, and can I be disappointed in Mike Maloney? Yeah, I can. Because Mike Maloney and his assistant, I've forgotten his assistant's name, on gold, silver.
Yeah, I know.
They were talking about catching the peak.
Right.
And it's like, I don't think we're going to have a peak. I think it's just going to keep going up.
Yeah. Yep, me too. So get it while you can. It's still low, honestly. In my opinion,
I think so. I mean, when we started in August 2020, our first purchase, we bought 20 silver maples, and they were $30 each wholesale. Well, we are selling maples now for under $40. So from going from wholesale at 30, so that would have been retail about 32.50 5 years ago
Right.
so they've gone up $8.
Yeah.
That hasn't kept pace with genuine inflation. Probably hasn't even kept pace with the CPI.
Right. Yeah.
So although it's psychologically hard to see a 37, 38 spot, it's cheaper than it was in 2020 in real terms.
Yeah. Yep. Craziness. Cool. All right. Well, guys, we will be back soon with more. Give Ian a call. Get yourself some silver, gold, rhenium,
Copper,
copper,
and nickel.
and nickel. Yes. So get yourself some pure metal and hold on for dear life. So yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah, we're laughing, but yeah. Hold on for dear life. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here. We will catch you all on the next one.